Hello everyone, I'm the EFC. This is Blue Lines TV. Welcome to the match review of our 0-0 draw against Everton today. And as I was saying in the match preview, I just sensed that this was going to be a very hard game against Everton. So many fascinating talking points in this game today, especially from the tactical standpoint. So in particular with this match review, I'm going to be talking about the tactics quite a lot, as well as talking about some of the players' performances as well. But you guys, you know what to do. Smash that like button, help me get more than 500 likes for today's video, and press the bell notification button as well to stay tuned to all things Blue Lines TV. Getting straight into things, starting with the lineup, and really it wasn't a surprise at all. Now, for some reason, the press were a bit baffled and surprised that Ross didn't start this game against Everton. Yes, I understand from their perspective, it makes things more dramatic because, of course, you know, Ross is playing against his former team, but realistically, especially after recent performances, there was no way in hell that Ross was going to be playing over Kovacic. Anyway, you guys, enough of the lineup, moving straight into the game, and honestly, the first 10 minutes of this game really summed up how this game played out tactically. Now, it really was a fierce midfield battle during those opening 10 minutes, and we really saw why Everton made things very difficult for us throughout this entire game, and they basically did everything that I was talking about in the match preview. And with Everton, what we found really difficult today was that they had that mid-block, and I've been noticing that teams that use this mid-block against us where, you know, when I say mid-block, it means that your structure's a bit higher up in the pitch, like around the halfway line. They keep their shape very compact. They use a high line as well, so they can support each other. And the distances between Everton's players is probably 15 yards each or 20 yards each. And they really were very compact centrally. And by playing this way, by stopping us from passing easily, because what they were doing was they were cutting off the passing lanes, this was forcing us to move the ball out wide and to shift the ball out wide. And that's what Everton wanted, because by us doing that, it forced us to play those horizontal passes. And I've been speaking about horizontal passes before. That was something Sarri was complaining about after that game against Bate this weekend. And when you play those horizontal passes, it's very easy to defend against because you're not really penetrating the opposition defence or really shifting them and shifting their positions. But most importantly, when you do play those horizontal passes, that means you're playing in front of the opposition defence. They don't have to move, they can keep their shape, they can keep their positions, and they don't have to worry about anything. And honestly, when you play against Chelsea, you have to make it hard for us to play out from the back because, as I say, we're the best in the league at playing out from the back. So many great passing patterns. Luiz and Rudiger are fantastic at playing with the ball. Jorginho complements everything so well. And it's like, this is how we create all of our opportunities. Everything starts from the back. So once you start to press high, or when those passing lanes get closed off, and when we can't play between the lines or play those vertical passes that Sarri constantly loves, it slows down the play and we become a very rigid and pretty stiff team. And that's how these opposition teams want us to play because it makes their lives much easier when it comes to defending off the ball. And in particular, during that first half, we were constantly losing possession of the ball quite easily. In particular, Kovacic was struggling at times, and we know how Kovacic likes to play. He's amazing at playing those passes between the lines and finding that space, but because those channels were closed off, it was very hard for him. You know, our defenders were really forcing the play quite a lot at times by trying to spread the play to the fullbacks, and we know that our fullbacks aren't really amazing offensively when it comes to their build-up play. And because our connections were kind of closed off, it made it hard for our forward players and our danger players to really get enough of the ball, and this is why Hazard wasn't getting the ball as much in the first half. In particular, Everton too were causing us issues with their set pieces. Now, you know we like to use a zonal marking system, and I kept thinking throughout this game, we keep giving away a lot of unnecessary small fouls, and it's going to come to get us eventually. Thank God that never did happen, but it wasn't the most amazing performance at times. But the one thing I really want to stress is the fact that I kept looking on social media and I kept seeing people say that we're playing bad, the players are playing shit, not good enough, etc, etc. But, you know, I think that there's always one fundamental that's constantly always overlooked when it comes to football, and that's the tactical side. Now, yes, I'm not trying to be a snob or a purist or nothing like that, but what I'm trying to stress is, you know, today we kind of face like an immovable object in that sense. You know, both team systems are getting cancelled out each other. You know, with Everton using that mid-block, trying to keep their shape with a high line as well, and really stopping those passes through the middle for those vertical passes. It was really slowing our play down and forcing us to make those horizontal passes. But with us as well, with our high pressing, really stopping Everton having many counter-attacking opportunities as well, and really forcing them back a lot, because I'm sure Everton were expecting to have more joy down the flanks and try to have more of a offensive effort throughout this game, which never was really there. And you can't tell me when you're watching that game today that you weren't seeing players making effort or trying to do something or trying to take responsibility to make things happen. You know, both sets of teams were doing that, but it's how football works, and this is why managers get paid so much money. This is why teams are constantly training throughout the week in preparation for games, and this is why hundreds of hours are put into analysing your opposition to really try and find a tactical advantage over them to get something from the game. I think too often that side's overlooked, and too often we can just say, oh, this guy's shit, the team's playing poor, without really asking ourselves why this is the case. Obviously, moving on to the second half, and for like about 20 minutes, the space was there, thank God. Now, you know, what Everton were doing, and it's been their main criticism this season, is they were overcommitting players for when they were pressing. Now, Everton aren't really a team that like to press. I mean, they will press if enough of their players are in a certain area of the field, but other than that, they like to stay off and just keep their positions. But again, it was a very stupid mistake in that sense, because finally the space was between the lines for guys like Hazard to move and drift infield to make things happen. Kovacic was able to find people with his passes, and we were starting to really overload Everton in midfield because guys like Gomez and Idrissa Gueye were getting overrun and they couldn't cope, and we were looking dangerous. And during that spell, you know, Alonso with some very Gareth Bale-esque shots, you know, towards goal. Willian unlucky with a few efforts as well. Hazard, you're thinking, okay, things are starting to look good now. Hopefully we can get something from this game. But I think Everton finally realised we've been making the same mistake throughout the season. Let's just sit deeper. If we can't win this game, let's make sure we don't lose it. And I think once they reverted back into their shape, it did make things a bit difficult. But it was a weird one. Of course, you know, Sarri made some interesting substitutions. I think one of the most interesting ones was actually bringing on Cesc Fabregas for Jorginho. Now, a lot of people might be dismissing that and saying, oh, well, obviously Jorginho was on a yellow card. Yeah, of course he is, and as the game is going on, you can't afford to possibly or potentially get down to 10 men. But with Cesc Fabregas, and I've been saying this in previous videos, he doesn't necessarily act as that typical regista. I think when Cesc plays, he is kind of playing his game, and I think in particular today, it really helped us force Everton back into their own half. I think he was taking up a lot of advanced positions. He was that connective player that guys like Kovacic and Hazard needed, and we were really able to, you know, put our ascendancy on the game and take the game towards Everton. And it's great to see that it's obvious that Sarri must have been listening to what Cesc said, because a few weeks ago in an interview, Cesc was saying that, you know, ideally he prefers to play a bit further forward because he feels that he can help the team keep the ball better in the final third, and he feels that he's much better playing more offensively compared to sitting back and being defensive. And, you know, Sarri, this is why the guy's a fantastic manager. He knows how to play towards the players' strengths. He knows how to get the best out of them with his tactics. He doesn't try to force players to do things they can't do. And that's fantastic to see, in my opinion. Too often over the years, we've had managers forcing players to do things they can't do. You'll never forget, you know, Conte making Hazard play as a target man during that month of February, March. But it definitely had a decent impact. I mean, you know, Pedro coming on to replace Willian, that really helped keep the continuity of our game. But I think there was one thing that Sarri did which I didn't really agree with as much. I was kind of hoping maybe Giroud could have been brought on to provide an option to the team, because again, this is definitely one thing Sarri's not going to be happy with. But this was another game today where in the final 15-10 minutes, we weren't playing Sarri ball. You know, we kept forcing the play, looking for those direct long passes, and it's like there was no Giroud in the team. Who the hell are you expecting who's going to get on the end of those passes and make something happen? That wasn't the case. That wasn't going to happen, and we kept just giving away cheap possession. You know, Everton kept winning those possession turnovers and creating counter-attacks, and because the play kept constantly getting broken down during that final 10 minutes, we weren't really able to sustain anything in Everton's half, and the game was just dying out slowly. And people are going to say I'm going to be harsh. Honestly, I just don't care now. When Ross Barkley came on too, I really thought that was a poor decision to make, because again, with a game like this, when, you know, there's no space in midfield to play in, Ross has shown that he struggles. He's still not up to it just yet. The minute Kovacic came off, our entire left-hand side broke down. Now, you know, as the game's going on, of course, naturally, Hazard is going to move a bit more in field. But when you've got someone like Kovacic, yes, the guy was losing possession of the ball, but he still did a lot of great things with his responsibilities in terms of, you know, what he was doing with the ball and connecting the play in the final third as well. Once he went off, all of that was broken down and lost, and it didn't help. Now, people might be thinking you're scapegoating Barkley because, you know, other players didn't perform as well. Don't worry, I'm going to be getting onto those other players later on, so don't worry about that. But games like this, when, you know, you need to be good in the tight spaces, Barkley just isn't the guy for us. I'm sorry. I'm going to sound harsh, but I'm just not rating him that much. I'm really not. And I'm looking at the Everton team, I'm thinking, you know, with Sigurdsson, Gomez and Idrissa Gueye, would Barkley even get in over any of those guys in midfield? I'm not too sure. I mean, are you really going to have Barkley over Sigurdsson? I don't think so. But I don't know, you know, this game, disappointingly, it ends as a 0-0. I don't know, I wasn't really too surprised in that sense. It was going to be a very tight game from a tactical standpoint because I knew how Everton were going to approach the game, and I knew that was going to cancel out a lot of the good things that we do under Sarri. But it does bring up a very interesting question. I'm always bringing up this like hypothetical just question so we can ponder about it and make our own conclusions. But, you know, if we had more balance in our play, let's say that right-hand side was as effective as the left-hand side, wouldn't that not improve the whole team in general? And I've always been saying that with Sarri being at Chelsea, with the resources and the players he has, you know, because they're better than Napoli's players, he can do what he's doing and take things to another level. And for Sarri to take his system to another level, should he start considering utilising that right-hand side instead of just using it in a supportive capacity? Only reason I'm saying this is because, you know, our system and our football is quite similar to Pep Guardiola's at Man City, but look at how they utilise the field and look at how they utilise the pitch when they're playing. And I think one of the reasons as to why Man City are very hard to play against is because they've got balance in all areas of the pitch, very dangerous. Again, I'm not being too reactionary. I know that the squad still isn't in Sarri's exact image. When it comes to next season, I will be a bit more critical with my critiques. But again, you know, next season, Sarri's going to get more of the players he wants. He'll get that striker, he'll get that fullback, he'll get that right winger, and he's going to get that deputy to Jorginho as well. So that's stuff that the club's actively working on right now. Don't really expect too much happening in January, but summer's when things will really start to happen. So again, when that happens and Sarri's really got the players he wants, the football's only going to get better. And let's not forget too, all the players who are training under Sarri this season are going to be better players. And why am I saying this? Because if you look at Napoli, 3 consecutive seasons, all the stats were better, goals were better, and the players were better. So let's not forget, this is still a process, a very positive one, but it's more of a food for thought thing, me bringing up this point in the game. But of course, it's disappointing to not get something out from this game against Everton. It was always going to be pretty difficult, always going to be pretty hard. I wish maybe players pick better decisions. I think Morata disappointed me. The amount of times he was just playing himself offside. Ridiculous. Really wasn't good in that capacity. Could have been interesting to see Giroud coming on because, you know, when we do play direct near the end, his link-up play with the forward players is much better. So it could have been an interesting proposal to see, but it's a bit disappointing. But at the same time, we still have to be pretty objective and we have to see things with a very positive perspective. It's still a work in process. Things like this will happen at times. But anyway, I'm going to end this match with you in the comment section below. Give me your thoughts and opinions on how this game went. I really want to hear who stood out for you, what really disappointed you. How do you think we could have broke down Everton even more? Let me know in the comment section below. You guys, I'm going to keep it moving. Thank you for watching. I'm Nini FC. This is Blue Lines TV. Signing out.